Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
This episode is presented by State Farm. Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like expecting the leadership of a team captain on the football field, but getting a sea captain. You wouldn't settle for just anything for your team. Shouldn't it be the same for your insurance? So don't settle for just any insurance when you can go with a leader. State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Big news. Sephora is now on Uber Eats. So if you find yourself facing a beauty emergency, like needing a last-minute gift, or you're just out of your favorite mascara, again, don't panic. We got you. Order now and get $10 off on Sephora orders of $50 or more on the Uber Eats app. Order now. Offer ends October 30th. One order per customer. Additional terms apply. See app for availability. Delivery fees may apply.
Welcome to Sephora. I'm looking for a perfume that's not too perfumey. I got you.
Serum moisturizer or moisturizer serum.
Let's get into layering.
My concealer is making me look worse.
Sounds like the wrong shade. Let's get you matched.
There's only one store that really gets what you're going for. Get beauty from people who get beauty. Only at Sephora.
Hi,
Let's get you a basket.
Walmart Business is in the business of helping your business. Regardless of whether you're building bridges, building spreadsheets, or building lesson plans. Ooh, that looks fun. Walmart Business can help save you time, money, and hassle so you can focus on what you're building instead of what your supply closet is missing. In short, we take care of business so you can do more with yours. We're the Walmart you love, now for your business. Learn more at business.walmart.com.
My assignment: uncover why the association inspires more conspiracy theories in volume and salience than any other U.S. sport.
You've heard of the Illuminati.
The truth is out there, but so are lies.
Your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them.
The NBA has always been controlled by about 8 people.
Denial is the most predictable of all human responses.
If you're only using 10% of your brain, you don't even know that you're using 10% of your brain.
The NBA Illuminati.
If coincidences are just coincidences, why do they feel so contrived?
The Illuminati.
But you start to follow the money, and you don't know where the it's going to take you.
It is unspoken. They have influence among other players.
The NBA Illuminati.
I don't have time for your convenient ignorance.
Maybe I'm a conspiracist now as well.
That's all it took. Oh, we got books, we got schools. You saw a video on YouTube.
Why my eyes, sir? You've never used them before.
We are the basketball Illuminati.
This is Basketball Illuminati. I am Tom Haberstroh, and as always, I am joined by the 5-star Illuminarmy generals, Amin Elhassan, and producer Anthony Mays.
Members of the Illumination can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/countthedings. You can also show your support by wearing a Third Eye hat or a Basketball Illuminati shirt or hoodie. Check out the link in the show notes or go to the Count the Dings store on Cotton Bureau and keep that third eye open.
We are going to have the truth teller here in a little bit. Bruce Arthur from the Toronto Star, longtime NBA reporter, coming in with some incredible reporting on the Raptors side of things, the demands from Uncle Dennis with the Raptors that, interesting, suspiciously looks a lot like the demands being alleged that the Clippers have agreed to off the books, under the table, cap circumvention style with Kawhi Leonard. Bruce Arthur going to join us here for a really wide-ranging, interesting discussion in a little bit. But first,
you listening to The Agenda with Amin Elhassan and Tom Haberstroh. Breaking news. Non-Kawhi Leonard edition. Breaking news. Fred VanVleet.
Former teammate of Kawhi Leonard.
Former player observed by Bruce Arthur on a day-to-day basis. Fred VanVleet has torn his ACL, expected to miss the entire upcoming season. He is far and away the most crucial Rockets backcourt player on a team that also has championship aspirations. Tom, how did this happen?
Well, Kelly Iko, congratulations, Kelly. Now national NBA reporter for Yahoo Sports. Welcome to the squad. According to Kelly Iko's reporting, Rockets starting point guard Fred VanVleet has suffered a torn right ACL. Sources tell Yahoo Sports. VanVleet, 31 years old, suffered the injury during a team minicamp in the Bahamas and is scheduled for surgery this week. Oof, that hurts in more ways than one. Dare I say, it's brutal.
A lot of brutals posted in reaction to this.
This has been going on for years, Maze. And I am here not saying I don't have any blood on my hands because I've searched my own social media when there's injury news.
Oh, you're a brutalist.
I'm a brutalist. A1 since day one. Brutalist. Listen, man, I don't know why this is, but I noticed this with my own account is like when bad breaking news happens about a player getting injured, reflexively, my fingers like a Ouija board types out brutal. As soon as this Fred VanVleet news broke, my entire feed was filled with people saying brutal, brutal news. Why is that, Maze? Is there only one way to react to an injury?
Well, interestingly enough, our truth teller, Bruce Arthur, went with bummer. He's a bummerman.
He's a bummerman. There's also a devman. Devastating.
Devastating.
Far and away, the word of the moment, the new buzzword in the NBA. Actually, it's not new. This has been going on for years. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Unfortunately, as the way that the damage happens in the league with star players is there's going to be another one. And the word brutal is going to come up a lot in the reaction. But Fred VanVleet is so important, both sides of the ball. Low turnover guy, smart veteran, savvy. He's kind of the 5-star general for the Houston Rockets, right? He's got institutional knowledge that Kevin Durant coming to the team does not have. He's a newcomer. But Fred VanVleet is the leader of the team. And also, really the only point guard on the roster, except for my boy Reed Shepherd.
Yeah.
My son.
Your Reed Shepherd stock soared.
But you can't really say that because it's a little icky to say, oh.
Because it's brutal.
Because it's brutal.
It's brutal to point out that Tom might be enjoying the Reed Shepherd playing time up.
Do not say that. That was brutal what you did. I am not accepting that you put those words in my mouth, but Reed Shepherd season. It is Reed Shepherd season and Amen Thompson season. It's a devastating, bummer, brutal.
In one of the brutal tweets that you sent, it did say that the Amen Thompson at the one experiment is now going to happen. And that's something that I don't know that anybody is really that interested in.
Well, I'm interested in it because it probably opens the door for my baby, Reed, my boy, to step in and be like, you know what? I'm the point guard now. I'm the point guard now. They need shooting in the worst way. And guess what Reed Shepherd does? He lights those nets on fire, man. He's a great shooter. I can't wait for the Reed Shepherd season.
Yeah, you're right. I really foisted this one on you. My bad.
Oh, yeah. Brutal. Brutal for Fred VanVleet. What it does do also is, don't you think if you're the Clippers, you look at this Western Conference now, they lost Fred VanVleet for the entire season. Reed Shepherd better be ready because right now we're in the Western Conference Finals. Denver's going to be in that conversation for sure. But if you're the Clippers, you want to solidify your standing in the Western Conference. That OKC, of course, wants to defend the NBA title. But the Clippers, man, they got their 2030 pick, their 2032 pick. They could trade a swap. Wrote this piece for Yahoo Sports. Does Lawrence Frank do it? Does he dare do it? Now that Fred VanVleet is injured for the season. OKC didn't really make any significant upgrades. Their rookie center, brutal injury, tore his ACL as well. Do the Clippers trade for Zion Williamson?
What happened to you?
My third eye's been open, son.
My third eye is on fire as Tom proposes a Clippers unit of James Harden, Zion Williamson, Kawhi Leonard, Bradley Beal, Brooke Lopez.
And Ivica Zubats.
Woo, that's a lot of quiche.
It's a lot of quiche.
Quiche.
You know, the Derek Queen trade to move up and give up the 26 unprotected. Joe Dumars, former NBA League office member, now running the New Orleans Pelicans. I feel like he'd be interested to have his own team with his own fingerprints. As Amin loves to say, when a new owner comes in or a new GM comes in, it's like buying a house. You want to come into the house, you're not keeping the same decorations and the same sofa and the same art on the walls. It's your house. Decorate it however you want. Joe Dumars, does he want to be the guy that keeps Zion Williamson and tries to make it work, or does he want to have his own team?
Think of all the players he could get by dumping those extra draft picks as sweetener.
Sweeten the pot. Hey, speaking of sweeten the pot, I feel like that's a blueprint that might have been going around back in 2019, sweetening the pot for Kawhi Leonard and putting those things onto a table and listed demands. We're going to get inside that room with reporting from Bruce Arthur at the Toronto Star. He is going to put us in that room, what it was like for Toronto Raptors executives negotiating a free agency deal or the framework of a free agency deal with Kawhi Leonard and his representation, Uncle Dennis. It's great details. Really interesting insight from our truth teller. Coming up right after the break, Bruce Arthur joining us.
Listener, listen up. This is important, okay? I'm going to try to save you some money here. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. You may think like, oh, that's bad. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. Here's why I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for $15 a month. You heard that correctly. $15 per month. Ditch overpriced wireless and the jaw-dropping monthly bills. And of course, there are all these hidden fees and stuff, but at Mint Mobile, plans start at $15 per month. All the plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text. You're not doing like weekend and nighttime minutes or anything like that. And it's delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone. Don't have to get a new phone. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all of your existing contacts. I switched months ago. People have asked, did you actually switch? Yes, I actually switched months ago. And I don't know what to do with all this extra money. I've cheated the system here. I've rigged something. This is an Ocean's 11 situation where I'm stealing wireless from Mint. That's how good a deal it is. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/dings. That's DINGS. That's mintmobile.com/dings. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 per month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
Hello, listener. It's producer Maze here to talk to you about Kindred. Now close your eyes like Owen Wilson during a job interview and imagine a way to travel that feels personal, comfortable, and connected without the price tags and the sterile feelings of hotels or short-term rentals. Now open your eyes and stop using your imagination because Kindred has made it very real. That's exactly what they do. Kindred is a members-only home swapping network. It's not a hotel. It's not a short-term rental. It's a smarter way to travel where each stay feels like home. Here's how it works. With Kindred, your home is your ticket. You earn credits by hosting fellow Kindred members, and then you use those credits to stay in over 220,000 homes in more than 100 cities worldwide. There are no hotel costs or rental fees, just the credits that you've earned. Every stay comes with white glove service, 24/7 trip support, and $100,000 in host protection. Make it easier for you to travel and enjoy yourself and not worry about details. I've used Kindred and I found an amazing home for a weekend getaway in an idyllic location with amazing views and great ambiance. It had everything I needed. And the best part was, it cost me $0. So apply now at livekindred.com and use code DINGS to join for free. Plus, you'll earn 5 nights of travel credit just for signing up. That's right. That's 5 whole nights for free at livekindred, KINDRED.com, code DINGS, DINGS, livekindred.com, code DINGS.
You all think I'm late. Well, I'm not late. And I'm going to stay right here and fight for this lost cause, even if this room gets filled with lies like these. And the Taylors and all their armies come marching into this place. Somebody will listen to me.
There's no better way to overpower a trickle of doubt than with a flood of naked truth.
But the complexity and the gray lie not in the truth, but what you do with the truth once you have it.
What is true and right is true and right for all.
You and I both know that that's just not the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Too messy. Keeps them up nights.
I'm here because in the end, the truth is worth the risk.
Speak a little truth and people lose their minds.
I'm a grown man, you can tell me the truth.
Why is it people who want the truth never believe it when they hear it?
So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do something really outrageous. I'm going to tell the truth.
We're joined now by truth teller extraordinaire from The Star, Bruce Arthur, longtime NBA reporter. Also, sepia tone.
Which star? You have to tell them. It's a lot of stars out there. The Toronto Star.
Oh, it's the capital T, the Star, the Toronto Star.
Yeah.
Bruce, thanks for joining us. I feel like it was you, me, and Howard Beck that used to have like the sepia tone, black and white Twitter avatars. And now we got these gray beards to show for it. So that's how long we've been doing this. You've held on strong. I've changed my profile picture, but you've held on strong, Bruce. Congratulations.
I will never let go of it just because I can't be bothered to do another, man. It's the same reason I have a beard. It's just less maintenance. That's all this is.
Yeah, I'm learning this right now. I'm doing the beard thing, and it's been really nice. And I'm wondering if when I do these Blazers games, if they're going to be like one of us, if just like they're very happy to see another bearded friend. So we're being joined by the great Bruce Arthur because he wrote one of the most important stories on the Kawhi Leonard situation with the Los Angeles Clippers. And you might be asking yourself, well, Bruce is in Toronto. What does he have on this Clippers situation? And thanks for asking that, because it is amazing, your report, that almost everything that we're hearing in terms of the considerations in Kawhi Leonard's contract with the Los Angeles Clippers, turns out this template was brought to the Toronto Raptors. And according to Bruce Arthur, almost like 1v1, the package lines up. So can you, for the audience, can you explain what was brought to the table, or as an ask, if you want Kawhi Leonard to sign with the Toronto Raptors after winning the championship, here's a list of demands. What was on that list?
So let's back up a little bit. So during the playoffs, everyone knew that they were looking at the Clippers, right? Like, and I think I reported at the time, like Uncle Dennis Robertson was heard after games, you know, in the wash after the games where people are standing around in a loading dock talking to each other. He was heard talking about targeting the Clippers as Kawhi's next during the playoffs. Like, I think it was during the Philly series. And so once they actually win the title, there was a real question as to whether he would come back. People now assume that it was a fait accompli, and it wasn't. At least the Raptors didn't think so. Up close, they were in constant communication with Kawhi. They knew what they were offering. They were offering a team that just won the title, and Kawhi's people knew and acknowledged that it was the best basketball situation. And by the way, OG Anunoby didn't even play in that playoffs. He was going to come back the next year. They had everyone coming back, and that was a really good team. But the Clippers obviously had been stalking Kawhi for a year. The Raptors knew that. And so things started to move, and Kawhi, the picture started to become clearer. And so at some point in the negotiations, Kawhi comes to Toronto. They move the hotel because they're worried that people will find the hotel they usually meet at. So they move the hotel to a different spot. They cross the table from Kawhi and Dennis. Oh, this is important. Remember, Bill Simmons at one point said, well, I wonder if Kawhi even knew about this. Kawhi sat in the meetings, listened to Dennis the whole time. Absolutely 100%. Unless he had headphones on, like noise-canceling headphones, He was part of those meetings. And so Dennis kind of starts going, well, we'd be interested to see if you could trade for Paul George. I believe the other name in there, because Kawhi was shopping around a little bit at the time. I think Bradley Beal was on that list, is what I reported at the time. He wanted Jimmy Butler, but Jimmy was going to Miami. And so Paul George really became the target. Bradley Beal, I think, was like a real backup. And the Raptors went, I guess we could do that. So they made a call. And the ask at the time was, it wasn't even Masai to Sam Presti. It was lower level stuff. It was Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, 4 or 5 unprotected first round picks, and then you got to match the salary. And the Raptors went like, well, good luck. If you can get that, good luck. And that's interesting. They got that because the Clippers were so desperate. They make the Shea trade. They move all those picks. They move everything. So that was the number one demand, and probably the biggest one of everything. If the Clippers don't make the Paul George deal, I am of the belief to this day that Kawhi comes back, maybe on a 1+1, maybe on a 1-year deal. And I, to this day, believe the Raptors win the title the next year with Kawhi. But they make the Paul George deal. But the other stuff that they brought up in the meeting was, what else can we get? So they kind of bring up a number, and the number is something like $10 million a year extra. And now the Raptors, Toronto's a very corporate city. There was a giant free agent in hockey in like 2016, Steven Stamkos, a local boy of the Tampa Bay Lightning. He was a free agent. He comes to Toronto. The president of Canadian Tire is in the meeting because because they can do that in the NHL. And they say, you will get all kinds of corporate endorsements in this town. No problem. And so this is the same thing. They go, well, yeah, of course we could. There's all kinds of corporations who would love to line up and talk to you. And this is where it goes sideways. Because Dennis says like, well, okay, but we don't want to do any work. And the Raptors kind of go, well, no, but like you don't have to do a lot of work. You just have to shoot some commercials, make some appearances. Maybe you put something on your Twitter feed, whatever it is. And they go, no, you don't think, no, we don't want to do any work. And someone in the Raptors room at that point just goes, fuck. That's what this is. Because up until that point, they're asking for a lot, but you're within the bounds of kind of how the NBA works, right? I will come to you if you trade for this guy. And also I'm interested in endorsements outside the team. This has been something that's been discussed ever since the story was broken by Pablo, right? Which is that a lot of teams line up their sponsors with their star players. It works for everybody. Mm-hmm. And at that point, the Raptors kind of go, well, we're out. Like, we can't do that. But the other thing that Dennis asks for, so he's still not done asking. I believe at one point he asked for a house or use of this or use of that, all this stuff. But he asks for a slice of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, that's two problems here. The Leafs are the biggest sports franchise in Canada, one of the biggest in the world. Like 4 out of every 10 Canadians live in Ontario. 95% of them that are hockey fans are Leafs fans. Like, this is a giant franchise.
Well, Kawhi's just a big hockey fan. We all know this.
Huge hockey fan. But also, they're owned by the same company.
Right.
One company owns the Toronto Raptors and the Toronto Maple Leafs. But Dennis thought that it was, he knew he couldn't ask for the Raptors, but he thought he could ask for the Leafs. So,
like, it was 2 separate entities. Like, he thought,
he didn't think it would be a conflict of interest if he
it's a completely
owned a
different
share of
sport.
the company. It's a hockey team.
He did not Google. He did not punch it into the Googles before he sat down, right?
Wait, hold on. He didn't realize it was owned by the same company, which is, by the way, for the listeners at home, the name of the company is, Bruce?
Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment owns the Toronto Raptors. That's how it works. But so at the Raptors side, I believe it was Larry Tannenbaum, who's a minority owner with the Raptors, had to explain, well, no, sorry, we can't do that because they're owned by the same company. So what do you have in terms of your asks? You got to trade for Paul George. Well, the Raptors wouldn't do that. The Clippers would. Then you ask for a certain amount of money above and beyond the salary cap, but we don't want to work for it. And we want stakes in outside companies that, again, we don't have to pay for. We don't have to work for. It's just extra money. And so the Raptors walk away from this and they go, listen, we did our best. There's no way to make this happen. There was no way Kawhi was going to stay under those conditions. And that's the end of the story. The morning he left, there was huge anger, though, in Raptors front office about how this had taken place. Like they were upset about this because this wasn't a free agent negotiation in the way that you're supposed to negotiate for free agents. But Kawhi walks, the pandemic interrupts the next year, the world spins outwards, and on we go, right? And so when Pablo reports this story, I'm looking at it, and I knew I had heard pieces of this, but I couldn't prove any of it because you can't see into where's the money. You gotta have a window into the money, and that's what Pablo got here. It was a window into how exactly it worked. Now, what's interesting is the timeline on that. He doesn't have stuff that's 2019. He has stuff that happened starting in 2021. Right. So there's all kinds of stuff we don't have a full picture of what's happened with Kawhi in LA, but this is enough of a picture that I have written it, and I would write it again and write it again. There is no way this is anything other than what it looks like. There is no way.
So, Bruce, this is what I want to ask you, because when it comes to the Clipper story, everything that Pablo's uncovered if anyone's implicated, it's Steve Ballmer, it's Dennis Wong, and it kind of stops right there, right? This feels like an ownership play, an ownership move. But in the example that you gave of what happened in Toronto with Toronto 2019, Masai Ujiri is in on these meetings, correct?
Yeah.
Is Bobby Webster in that room as well, or does this stop at Masai?
I believe so, yeah. I believe Bobby's in there, and Larry Tannenbaum from ownership.
Right.
And there may have been other representatives from ownership in the room.
Got it. So I think because everything that we've seen, everything that we've heard so far, Lawrence Frank is not implicated, nor is anyone else in that front office, which I've found interesting. Interesting because if there is an agreement to have this happen, how does it happen with the front office completely insulated or any other team personnel insulated? How does it, in other words, is it just Steve Ballmer tugging Dennis Robertson or vice versa on the elbow in the garage on the way out of the official meeting where all the suits were?
That's a really interesting question. And again, we don't know that, but I think it makes all the sense in the world, especially from a proof perspective. What was the problem in the Joe Smith deal?
The paper.
They had it written down, and they had it, the front office signed it, right? So like the front office, you cannot avoid that Kevin McHale, that's why he gets suspended for a year, because he is in on that deal. With this deal, one of the fascinating parts of it, and we've kind of seen this leak out a little bit, is like, okay, where's the actual proof? Where's the proof of an agreement between the Clippers and Kawhi that these are all linked? They look linked, but do we have proof of that? If you do it outside of the official team communications, then tell me exactly how an NBA investigation is supposed to find it. They can go through emails, they can go through texts, right? But if you do this at an ownership level, there is no way the owners in the NBA are going to let the NBA get into all of their financial dealings and start to sort through all this stuff. And you don't even need to write this stuff down as long as you pay. And that's where I think Pablo's investigation gets even more interesting, because there are moments where Aspiration, the company through which this appears to have been laundered, was behind on the payments. And that's where the Dennis Wong piece comes in, which is one of the least defensible parts of this whole thing. Because at that stage, and Pablo showed it in all of his reporting, at that point, Aspiration is practically burning furniture for warmth. They can barely keep the lights on. They have burned through an unbelievable amount of money. And $2 million is not going to save anything. Two, you cannot explain that just because Dennis Wong's daughter works at the firm, that's why he put $2 million in. The $2 million neatly covers a payment that is 3 months late, right? And it feels like desperation is what it looks like from here. But that idea of working through the ownership level, I don't know how it works in terms of the meetings. That's a really interesting question, right? Because when he sits down and he talks to the Clippers, you presume he's talking to Ballmer and Lawrence Frank and whoever else in the front office and is saying, we want you to trade for Paul George. And by the way, this is the other stuff we want. If this is apples to apples, I'm not going to say Apple time. If this is Apple time, I'm going to do it. But like, if that's the case, then what the Raptors had the impression that they were being asked to match this. Right. This is not an original ask.
Right.
This is if you guys were going to do this, because think about that from Kawhi's perspective, is Kawhi is sitting there and he goes, well, what if the better basketball situation trades for Paul George and I get all the money? Maybe that is better. Maybe I don't have to go back home to California. Maybe that's the only thing that could have kept him out of there. Right. There's another piece of that negotiation, by the way, that's super interesting, which is that Kawhi at the time, remember, he's got a degenerative quad, right? We've seen all the knee injuries that have come as a result of that. He was worried about that in Toronto. Toronto was worried about that when they were going to trade for him. Like, there was real question when Toronto was going to make the trade for Kawhi. They're all sitting in the room going, I don't know, right? Like, it was not a slam dunk when they made that deal because they did not have enough of a window into what they would be dealing with. And Alex McKechnie, who's the body guy at the Raptors, maybe the best guy in the league, is what saves them there. So at that point, the Raptors can offer 5 years in 2019. They can offer 5 years. That's pretty much a max contract, right? During negotiations, that was not the priority for Kawhi's people. The 5 years was not the priority. He winds up signing a 3-year deal with the Clippers. A 3-year deal. He extends it after 2. And since has signed another extension after that. So he winds up making in the first 5 years about the same amount of money that I think he made 196 in his first 5 years with the Clippers. It would have been 190 with the Raptors, but they could have also extended him, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
But that dynamic tells me that it makes me wonder. I don't know if it tells me. It makes me wonder what else was promised in those meetings. Because Kawhi was worried about his quad. He was worried about his future as a Raptor. He would ask people around the organization, do you think I'll be able to get another max contract with my knee? Right? But once the negotiation comes and you're being offered more security versus less security, that is not the primary focus of the negotiations in any way. It's Paul George and the extra money, and maybe can I have a piece of the Toronto Maple Leafs? Right? So in terms of dealing, like, I don't know who's in the meeting for the Clippers, to circle back to that.
Right.
But it's probably pretty easy to have separate meetings. It's pretty easy, if you're smart, to stay outside of the bounds of what you think you get caught by. I don't know how canny Dennis Robertson is on this stuff, right? I have no idea.
Right. Or to that point, whether even as we suspect the Clippers improved upon the mistakes that the Wolves made in 2000, how much Dennis Robertson improved on his own mistakes from 2019 to 2021, or even from 2019 meeting with Toronto versus 2019 going back to the Clippers with the deal, whatever it was, there might have been kind of a refinement that happened along the way.
Yeah, well, and you're exactly right. I mean, like that window from 2019 to 2021, we don't know what happened there, right? All we see is that Kawhi has the $7 million a year deal with aspiration, plus he's got $20 million in stock, and this is part of a deal that he's signing in 21, which I believe was a 4-year deal, if I remember. At the time, the Raptors were being told about $10 million a year. All we see is $48 million going to Kawhi, like $28 million in no-show job, $20 million in stock, starting in 21 for a 4-year deal with the clause in the contract saying, which is pretty typical, if he's no longer a Clipper, this deal is null and void. There was no way he was not going to be a Clipper, by the way. There is no way on earth. Someone pointed out to me the other day, the fact that Paul George didn't get traded before he got traded tells you, like, Paul George had some assurances too that he wasn't going to get traded, right? Like, someone told Paul George, you're sticking around, buddy. We're sticking with you. No, we don't see what happens in 2019 to 2021. So, like, I've talked to different people in the league who have different theories. Like, maybe to keep the heat off, do you wait until 2021 to start paying them? I don't think that doesn't scan to me necessarily, but that's like, because the NBA investigates in 2019.
Yes.
Right. But again, I have to think that this was a continuation.
Right.
Because if Steve Ballmer has better taste in money laundering companies, we never know about any of this.
Hello, listener. It's Producer Maze here to talk to you about Quince and their cookware. Cooler nights mean cozy meals at home, and Quince's cookware has made fall cooking so much more enjoyable. Their pieces deliver the quality and performance of luxury brands, but at a price that makes sense. And they look gorgeous on the stovetop, too. No matter what item you need to complete your kitchen, Quince has you covered. With 5-ply stainless steel pots and pans, non-stick skillets, chef-quality knives, and even ceramic bakeware, which is perfect for cozy casseroles or Sunday roasts. And when you look at these prices, you might think, how is Quince doing this? How do they deliver high-quality items similar to high-end brands that are half the price? Well, let me tell you, they partner directly with ethical top-tier factories to cut out the middlemen and pass the savings on to you. And it's not just cookware. I got myself some bath sheets. That's right. When you're a tall man, you have to use bath sheets, not bath towels from Quince. It's like drying off with the cloud. It's incredible. Upgrade your kitchen for cozy fall meals with premium cookware from Quince. Go to quince.com/dings for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/dings, DINGS, to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dings.
My marathon isn't about time. It's about my 26 friends with intellectual disabilities I'm dedicating each mile to. I'm Joseph. I'm running my first Bank of America Chicago Marathon for Special Olympics Illinois to help give my friends a place to shine.
Join Bank of America in supporting Joseph's cause. Give if you can at BofA.com/supportjoseph. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America. References to charitable organizations is not an endorsement by Bank of America Corporation.
Jif peanut butter. It's that jiffing good. It doesn't really need advertising. So instead, enjoy the calming sounds of the ocean.
Jif. It's that jiffing good. Get your Jif at Jif.com.
Are your business expenses playing hide and seek? With Uber for Business, the small spends that slip through the cracks, like rides and meals, go right where you need them. Because it integrates with leading expense platforms, you can say goodbye to surprise costs, missing dollars, or chasing receipts. Everything's track downable. Uber for Business. Make small steps that make a big impact. Learn more at uber.com/small steps.
The all-new 2026 Hyundai Palisade Hybrid doesn't just turn heads. It commands respect. With its stunning exterior, luxurious interior with available captain seats, and spacious third-row seating and equipped with advanced technology, you and the family are making a statement before you even step out. Okay, Hyundai. Visit HyundaiUSA.com to learn more and experience the all-new 2026 Palisade Hybrid today.
Bruce, you hit it right on the head. The number of people who have called this, oh, why would they be so sloppy? Why? I'm like, it's not sloppy at all. If this company doesn't go under, we don't find out. If Kawhi Leonard licks his wounds and says, hey, I took an L, I guess that money they owed me isn't going to come to fruition. Oh, well, on to the next one. We don't find out. And most importantly, if Pablo Torre isn't a persistent asshole for 7 months, we don't find any of this out. So I'm with you there. It's like, what other avenues or channels could they have used in 2019 that just were never found out?
So think about how it works too. Like Steve Ballmer, he was estimated, I think, at like 150 billion in like May this year. Yeah. He's like 173 now.
This is my favorite part of the reporting is give or take 20 billion or we don't know. Jeez. Like it's just a rounding error. We don't really, I'm like, that would be so great to just be like, I don't know how much Tom Haberstroh's worth. It's somewhere in this $20 billion range.
And he, I presume, has invested in all kinds of different companies. There is no way to trace it if you do it with a private company. It was incredibly smart. And so think about what are the defenses that the Clippers have offered here? There aren't very many. There really aren't.
Conned.
Yeah,
they conned me.
I was scammed. It feels bad to be scammed. Well, you know what?
This is not fun. This is not fun sitting here. I'd rather talk about my great arena.
I don't think that's a lie. I think he can say that with complete confidence. He invested in a company that was absolutely a scam. But that's his problem. That's his mistake. Like Steve Ballmer, for all being this incredibly smart and rich and wealthy man, puts his faith in a company that is like cardboard walls and like nothing else. Like the amount of burn money, I think it was in Pablo's last podcast, one of the aspiration employees said that the $50 million that Ballmer puts in, plus the extra, like whatever it was, $350 million from Oak Tree is gone in a year. It's gone. That's hard to do, man. I've seen Brewster's Millions. That is difficult to do.
It reminds me of the Dennis Wong payment, Bruce, when they were like, yeah, his daughter works there. What if he was just trying to keep the lights on for his daughter's company? I'm like, if your daughter is in a burning house, do you go in and rescue her and try to get her out, or throw like a bottle of water at the house?
Glass of water and just, there, I helped.
And I'm like,
and after Wong, so where is it? After Wong, Ballmer puts more money in, because you have the first $50 million that he puts in. That's his investment. Then you have the money that the Clippers shove in for carbon credits, which maybe that's part of the deal. Maybe they actually did want to. Maybe they thought carbon credits was a part of it. Well, I don't know. Like that's probably sort of defensible. Then Dennis Wong is like, well, here's some extra money. And at this point, the company is like, they fire they're firing staff. No one else is investing in the company. And then Ballmer puts the money in. And this is the part in our friend Pablo's podcast that made my eyes go, oh. Remember when he first puts the $50 million in, he buys in at $11 a share. Oak Tree buys in at 10. What does he buy in at? Once the company has no money, again, the place is on fire. What, pray tell, does he get as the price of his investment at this late date of this scam-riddled company? $23 a share.
Got to buy at a premium.
$23 a share.
Oh.
What?
The one thing that Pablo keeps saying here is he keeps saying this is an IQ test. And that can feel a little bit reductive, and it can feel a little bit condescending. Absolutely. But he's right. You have to bend over backwards and sideways to come up with any plausible explanation other than the fact that the Clippers and the richest owner in the NBA funneled money through a company that then gave Kawhi Leonard money for nothing outside of the salary cap, which he asked for from the Raptors and got from the Clippers. What else did he ask for from the Raptors? Trade a huge amount for Paul George. What did the Clippers do? They traded a huge amount for Paul George. And all of this leads back to Ballmer. Like, I don't think this is a Dennis problem. Like, Dennis shouldn't be representing Kawhi. Like, it's not how it should work. Mitch Frankel should be representing Kawhi. He's his registered agent. He should be sitting in the room. He was almost never seen around Raptors territory during the Kawhi year. Like, almost never. Like, he was there the first time he came, and people did not see Mitch after that. But Dennis can walk into a meeting and ask for the owner to do a cartwheel, and then we will sign with you. Steve, if you do a cartwheel, we will sign with the Los Angeles Clippers. You can ask that. That's fine. You can ask for the moon. You can ask for anything. But it takes the owner who, one, will say yes, and two, has the means and the willingness to do it. And Steve Ballmer cares so much about the Clippers. And this was his white whale. This was his guy. There are, in any given year, how many guys are there that could do what prime Kawhi can do in terms of influencing a franchise? 6? 7? Maybe.
Not two
think
hands
about,
worth, definitely.
Think about what he did for the Toronto Raptors franchise.
Yep.
Like he pulled a miracle out of thin air. He delivered on a championship to the Toronto Raptors in like 4 months. And it's
there was a moment after Game 4 of the Philly series. The Philly series was like a near-death experience. That Philly team was awesome. Like Embiid, not in his prime yet, but he's a force. Ben Simmons is playing all NBA defense. Jimmy is there, and Jimmy's really good. JJ Redick, you run a pick and roll with JJ Redick and Joel Embiid. It's amazing. That team was awesome. They have near-death experience over the first 4 games. And after Game 4, where they escape, because Kawhi is awesome in that game, they escape. And I remember Masai Ujiri's on the loading dock, and I've never seen that man rattled. He was rattled, right? Someone from the Sixers front office came and talked to me and said, like, almost like whispering before Game 5 in Toronto. He went like, Kawhi can't keep doing this, can he? Because to go take a look at the numbers from that series before like the game 7 where he takes 1 million shots and the one bounces in, he is an absolute flamethrower. The Milwaukee series changes because in game 3, they put Kawhi on Giannis, right? Like, and even in the finals, you can see other guys lift it up a little more. Like Kyle Lowry's game 6 is awesome, and Pascal does a lot of stuff. And
Fred
like,
VanVleet.
it was such a smart team, such a great defensive team, and they get lucky partly because Golden State, like a bunch of the timing belt pops on the whole thing, right? Yeah. But Kawhi was that good, and Ballmer had owned the Clippers for several years at that point, and it had always been paper tiger stuff. They were still a joke, and so everything points to me that Ballmer, beyond the fact that he cared enormously about the Clippers, and this is a point that actually, again, Pablo makes and I've thought about as well. He was the CEO of Microsoft when they settled the biggest class action antitrust lawsuit as far as I know in United States history.
Yeah.
Microsoft was built on breaking rules. All these guys got rich from breaking rules. Guys in the NBA will tell you, Paul Allen used to do a little bit of stuff that people thought was maybe a little bit like the late Paul Allen. We don't know. We don't have proof of that. But like that's what people talked about in the league.
I'll give you a legal thing that Paul Allen used to do that they literally changed the rules about. It used to be you could pay $3 million on every transaction. I know this because in Phoenix, it was part of our budget. Well, like our yearly budget was, and then somewhere along the line, we're going to get some picks that we're going to sell to Paul Allen for $3 million a pop. That'll give us $6 to $9 million.
Standing order.
So we just knew that was, I mean, Paul Allen was not as wealthy as Steve Ballmer. I was going to ask you that. I'm glad you brought it up because a lot of people also bring up the example of his alma mater high school, which was never known for basketball. And Steve Ballmer, through means both that of having extreme latitudes because of the money he has and also things that were outside of the rules, created a basketball powerhouse and a state champion out of this thing because he turned his sights on it. And so if you're Adam Silver, how much of that should factor in addition to the repeated infractions as an NBA owner?
Adam's comments were so interesting, weren't they?
Oh, yeah.
When he talked about this. It was like, because I didn't know what to expect. I honestly didn't, because if you look around the league, how many owners could or would do something like this? Like everyone's got money, but like a lot of organizations have a lot less money than the Clippers and a lot less money than Steve Ballmer. And even some organizations have rich owners who would never spend like this. The Crunkies in Dallas or in Denver are never going to spend like this. Jerry Reinsdorf is never going to spend like this, right? It's actually a very small group. And by the way, in Toronto, rich franchise, 2 public companies own the company and now 1 public company. It's just the ownership's changing over.
Rogers.
Like they can't do this stuff.
Right, because it's all out there.
Yeah. Right. It's like that Sopranos scene where they try to shake down a Starbucks and the guy's like, listen, I don't know what to tell you. Every single penny is like tracked by a computer. I can't help you guys. Like that's the Raptors trying to like put extra money into stuff.
This is where Steve Ballmer, when people are like, look, he invested in a sham company. Like, what do you expect? Like, you know, he got swindled here. And to me, from Steve Ballmer's perspective, isn't the fact that they're a sham company a feature, not a bug? If you're trying to launder money, it's going to be a lot harder to do it if it's Ford Motor Company, if it's General Electric. And so if that's the goal and you need some shady business to do your bidding for you, then I'd imagine that would be very useful to you if you're Steve Ballmer.
Tom, that's the Steph Curry example, right? Everyone's like, well, maybe the Warriors are doing the same thing with Chase. And I'm like, 1, I've seen Chase commercials with Steph Curry in them. But also 2, it's a lot harder to hide that thing because Chase is publicly traded and they have to disclose all of this shit. And so if there was a funny contract, let's say Steph Curry was being compensated $50 million a year for his Chase sponsorship, which again, according to the collective bargaining agreement, has a very specific clause in there. It's section Article 13, Section 1B. The
I just love that Amin has this as his like desktop background.
But don't overpay people too much clause.
Such compensation from the sponsor or business partner or third party is substantially in excess of the fair market value of any services to be rendered by the player. Yeah. Right? That clause right there is what, in essence, what we're talking about with this.
That alone is already there because it has been established that Leonardo DiCaprio or Robert Downey Jr., Robert Downey Jr. appeared in aspiration like promo reels and was getting paid way less money. And he's Iron Man. That's
Drake.
And Kawhi literally didn't have to do anything, and they never announced the deal. And they never announced the stock deal.
What if Pablo uncovered like a movie script with Kawhi Leonard being the main character? Like, that's what I'm wondering is what would $10 million or $7 million annually? Yeah.
It's a Marvel movie called Tree Man.
Tree Man gets paid. Yes.
But that's such a good point that you need a company that is willing to play ball with you. And that's what you keep hearing from all these aspiration employees. They go, this stuff was crazy. We didn't understand why this was happening. They had a CFO. They had people in like accounting. They had people, executives on a board going, why are we doing this? But you had people at the top of the company who were willing to do it. You needed somewhere that was safe in order to route money if you're going to do something like this. And that's why we can't see anything probably between 19 and 21. I don't know why it would have changed. If there were payments in that time, we have no window into that. We don't have a window in any kind of place past aspiration or beside aspiration. It might not have been the only place for all we know, right? But in terms of what Adam said, the question always to me is, what is the burden of proof? Like, what do you need in order for this to be a Joe Smith level punishment, which is probably what it should be? And if you require Joe Smith level evidence, then you are probably doomed to failure in this case. Because that was one of one, man, where they actually like, I pledge to break the rules, signed. That's like everyone in the league learned from that.
It reminds me, Bruce, I don't know if you ever heard the story. It was a guy who is buying drugs but pays in counterfeit money. So the drug dealer calls the cops to complain about the counterfeit money that was paid. That's what the Joe Smith deal reminds me of. It's just like the idea that, hey, we're going to have this legally enforceable document that is basically proof that we're committing an NBA crime. In the case of the Clippers and Adam Silver, I feel like the collective bargaining agreement was worded in such a way to kind of take into account that people were going to get smarter about this post Joe Smith. Again, Bingo. I go back to Article 13.
It basically says that the burden of proof is not entirely on the league, that the league can look at a deal which is clearly, by any reasonable person's estimation, cap circumvention, and therefore they can go, listen, I know we don't have you dead to rights, but we don't need to. This is, and Adam did say this is not a court of law, but he also said the burden of proof is on the league. And the reason the thing that he used to explain that was, I've seen so many things that have been reported. It turns out to be the exact opposite. That's such a fascinating place to start from.
That isn't that like he is it? Because here's the thing, Mace. I thought he was going to come out and say, look, we take these allegations very seriously. We've already got the people. They're going to look into it. If there's anything, we're going to act. And that's it. And instead, he said what Bruce just said. And I felt at the time like, well, that's a very people have been caught.
High bar.
It's a high bar, but also automatically building in the excuse of people have been caught before doing things that turned out to be nothing. Imagine showing up to a murder scene is like, well, I've seen some suicides that were pretty gory too. It's just a weird thing to say. And I have the exact excerpt here. It's section 2D under Article 13. Violation above may be proven by direct or circumstantial evidence, including but not limited to evidence that a player contract or any term or provision thereof cannot rationally be explained in the absence of conduct violative of, et cetera, et cetera.
So let's take that for a second. Could rationally be explained. So let's try to rationally explain what this actually could be. Steve Ballmer has found a sponsor who offers him lots of money. Fabulous. Great news for everyone. And this, he's building a new arena. This is fabulous for everyone. And as part of that deal, the organization believes that in order to make Steve happy, because that's something they kept saying, right? This is a priority to keep Steve happy. Then we should, you know what we should do? Without asking Steve, we should pay his best player money.
Yeah.
But we shouldn't tell anybody, because that would look suspicious. That would look bad for Steve. We as this company have enough money that we should definitely sign a contract in which we give this guy money, but also we make sure that he doesn't have to work, because we don't want to ask that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's not what we want to do. That's not how we work here at Aspiration.
Right. Working is against his beliefs. Correct.
Yeah.
And maybe we could give him a stake in the company. And someone probably would say, well, we're giving Steve Ballmer a stake in the company. Like, if you want to make him happy, he's got a stake in the company. Like, it's right there. You have to presume that the people running Aspiration are as crazy as anybody in America, which is, I'm sad to say, a high bar. Like, to say like that they would go ahead and as a company, even if they were making lots of money, it still wouldn't make sense.
It wouldn't make sense. Now, here's the part where even if they were making lots of money, even if you could contort yourself to believe, no, I could see it. The part where it ceases to make sense seems to be the exact defense point for Steve Ballmer and Mark Cuban as a surrogate and all this, which is they're scammers.
Yeah.
Which, if everything you said was already crazy, then you factor in, but they're not actually a real company. These are people who are just robbing Peter to pay Paul long enough for this Ponzi scheme to go to SPAC, and then they all make a bunch of money. Why the fuck is paying $28 million part of that scheme? How does that help the scammer? How does that help them defraud Steve Ballmer as he keeps complaining? It really doesn't make any sense it doesn't make sense to begin with, but once you introduce that this company was not on the up and up, that this company was in fact a fraudulent attempt to extract cash from rich people in order to just kind of keep this thing going long enough before they could make out like bandits, then it absolutely categorically ends up in the land of no chance in hell.
And then you get the further investments at what is frankly inexplicable prices for Steve Ballmer as the company's falling apart. Like, if the only thing we ever see is Ballmer's $50 million and Kawhi's $48.5 million, you're still going, whoa, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. Like, or makes too much sense. It's too obvious that Aspiration makes a little extra money, the handling fee, and everyone kind of gets the cap circumvention deal that they're asking for. But the money keeps going in and keeps going in and keeps going in. And Dennis Wong putting money in.
Oof.
One thing that Mark Cuban has said is, wait, so Pablo is now changing the story here, is that he's moving the goalposts. I thought the $50 million was for the $48 million payment, the 20 for the stocks and the 28 for the actual cash payment. Oh, now he's changing moving the goalposts. I'm like, well, if the company's burning through cash, where did that $50 million go? Oh, but Kawhi's still asking for the money. I got to get money in here to pay Kawhi.
Yeah. So, and also Mark Cuban provided the very explanation that's like, if I were Steve Ballmer and I were doing this, I would put more money in to make sure the company doesn't go under. And of course, that's what the further findings end up revealing.
So that was like watching a bank robber telling you how to rob a bank.
Yeah, O.J. Simpson. If I did it.
Don't chew on that, Max.
Cooper loves that chew too.
Oh, now he's into Cooper's food. Wow, he is loving it. What do you feed Cooper?
Blue Buffalo Life Protection Formula. He never leaves a crumb. I love it because it's made with high-quality protein, nutrient-rich fruits and veggies, and wholesome whole grains.
Looks like we're switching to Blue.
Blue Buffalo foods are made with the superior ingredients your dog needs to thrive. Can your dog food say that? Visit feedbluefood.com to learn more.
For a limited time at McDonald's, get a Big Mac extra value meal for $8. That means 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, and medium fries, and a drink. We may need to change that jingle.
Prices and participation may vary.
Are you a forward thinker? Then you need an HR and finance platform that thinks like you do. Workday is the AI platform that helps propel your organization, your workforce, and your industry into the future. Workday, moving business forever forward.
the story it's still a live wire, right? So I wrote today for Yahoo Sports. What if Lawrence Frank goes and trades for Zion Williamson, taking 3 first-round picks that he knows is on the line because of the Joe Smith template?
Yeah.
Takes those draft picks and says, I'm going to go get a star player now before the league can take it away. And then they go win a championship.
Yeah.
Like, that's on the table right now. And this to me gets into the question of what does Adam Silver do? Because people responding to me in that column saying, Adam would never let that happen. Adam would never okay a trade that uses some of the assets that could be on the line in a punishment. Well, and I'm like, every owner in the NBA would never allow the Adam Silver to pull assets or freeze assets in the middle of an investigation. That is the opposite of innocent until proven guilty. That is guilty until proven innocent. There's no way that Adam Silver could halt a trade because they're using some of the assets that could be used in a punishment. So if this is on your table, you're Adam Silver, and you know how much paperwork that they got to go through with Wachtell Lipton to get this investigation done, but there's a whole season to play, and they're one of the top 5 title contenders in the NBA. This seems like they're a catch-22. They can't suspend Kawhi or Steve Ballmer before the season until the investigation is complete. But then we have a whole season which is potentially going to rock the league and also have a brand issue and a PR issue. But also, what if the Clippers win the title?
Yeah.
Wouldn't trading those picks be a sign of guilt? Wouldn't that work against them?
No, they're getting
right?
Zion.
They're getting Zion.
Look at that team. Kawhi isn't the only old guy. James Harden is the only old guy. Bradley Beal isn't the only old guy. They're all old. Everybody's old. The whole team is old. This is a last job before you all go your separate ways in Ocean 11 kind of moment, right? For this team. And so, yeah, that's a really good point, Tom, is that the timeline we've been given is, at least has been reported, is this isn't going to happen until after the All-Star game. So, okay. But it has to happen. I said, of all the suite of punishments that Adam Silver should reserve for himself, one should be to move the All-Star game from Intuit to Crypto.com Arena. No one has to change their hotels. No one has to change their party venues. You just take the All-Star game and you just move it over here. There you go. We're still having an LA All-Star game. Fabulous for everybody.
Put a lightsaber right through Steve Ballmer.
That's the thing. If this is what it looks like, and I personally have no doubt this is what it looks like, then it's the worst cap circumvention case in league history. And it's not only a fork in the road for the Toronto Raptors. It's not just a fork in the road for the Oklahoma City Thunder, and therefore for the rest of the league. It's not just a fork in the road for the Los Angeles Clippers. It's a fork in the road for Adam Silver as commissioner. Because what's everybody say when you talk to anybody in the league? Or you know what David would have done?
Yeah.
David Stern would have absolutely rained down hellfire. And that's what he did with Joe Smith. Joe Smith, remember, Glenn Taylor's suspended for a year. Kevin McHale, unpaid suspension for a year. 5 first-round picks, later reduced to 3. And the contract is voided. If you stay with Minnesota, you will not be paid. So he goes and plays in Detroit for a year. Now, if you spin that forward to Kawhi, it doesn't matter that they don't have picks or they don't control their pick till 2030. Take the rest of them. Take as many as you want. Whatever the fine is, probably doesn't matter, but you do it just to show. But you have to hit Steve Ballmer in a way that not only tells Ballmer you can't do this, tells any of the other owners in the league that they can't do this. Because if Ballmer walks on this, and this is the evidence we have, which we are never going to get better evidence for cap circumvention ever again, man, unless you get absolute hacker stuff. Then what is going to keep any other owner from going, well, geez, what if I just do that? Then I can pay guys extra. And as we all know, the best players in this league are worth way more than they make. Way more.
Yeah, it's one of the things that, I've always been fascinated by is the negative externalities of a max contract. And I think, you've always argued for getting rid of the max contract because
fix everything.
It creates all sort of dark money possibilities here that if Kawhi Leonard was just able to sign for $1 billion a year because Dennis Robertson asked for it, the team could do that. And there would be no use for a no-show job to circumvent the cap. So it's just all these questions. I'd imagine Adam Silver and the NBPA, they're all sitting here being like, do we got to rewrite some of these rules here to try to prevent something like this from happening?
Yeah, the crazy thing is, I feel like the rules, pretty much. I mean, like as I read through the collective bargaining agreement about all of these things, the thing that keeps coming back to my mind is like, damn, they really like whoever the lawyers were that worked on this. They did a good job of trying to foresee, because, for instance, Joe Smith, contract was voided, had to go play in Detroit for a year, came back to Minnesota, signed for a fraction of the price, by the way, right? In the clause, in the current Article 13 circumvention, you can ban that player from ever playing for that team again.
Yep.
They have that kind of latitude in there where it's like, okay, not only is this contract void, you can never be a Clipper again, Kawhi Leonard. They could do that in order to kind of dam off or wall off this circumvention of, okay, well, he'll be back whenever his current deal expires. And so like, I don't know if the rule, I mean, I know I've advocated for a long time, get rid of the max salary, keep all the other rules the same, and then you'll see people paid what they're actually worth vis-a-vis winning and also, you know, putting butts in the seats. But with regards to this, I'm looking at it, I'm like, everything we're talking about here is addressed in Article 13. And it's on Adam Silver to just stand up and hold them accountable to the letter of the law that they wrote, that they thought of years and years ago. And you know, when we say David would have handled it this way, it hits home these fundamental differences between Adam Silver and David Stern. And it's not about how Adam Silver's a nice guy or whatever. It's Adam Silver works for the owners and David Stern was their boss.
One other difference, though. That's totally true, 100% true. But David Stern never had an owner like Steve Ballmer, right? Steve Ballmer could buy the league. I've said this of like the Saudi wealth fund, right? If the Saudis wanted to invest in sports, buy the NBA, man. Forget the golf stuff you're doing. Forget Cristiano Ronaldo. Buy the NBA. Give every owner twice what they're worth and walk away with a league. Ballmer could do that. So the Ballmer situation, that's what makes it different. You can argue he's the best owner in the league. He built a spectacular, attention-grabbing building with his own money. He is trying to restore the team to credibility. He's an active participant at the league level, all that other stuff. The question about voiding Kawhi's contract is incredibly interesting. Because one, you have to, like, can you void a current contract for stuff that's happened previously that you determine as cap circumvention? I think you can. I think the powers are broad. But further to Tom's point, what if you do that in March? What if you do that in April?
Right.
Like, if you want to make this hurt and you've set this timeline and the Clippers are 56-20 with 6 games to go, and you say, well, guess what, everybody? Kawhi's never playing for the Clippers again.
It's a strong bet that he'll be healthy at that point by you, Bruce. Might already be the case.
Oh, and that's why this should happen faster, because not only for the example of whether or not they can trade picks now and just shovel them out the door, like the Clippers should absolutely be trying to do that.
Yeah.
They should be trying to shovel every pick they can out the door right now.
Well, and I think the other side would want to do that deal, because if they acquire the 2032 pick or the 2030 pick unprotected from the Clippers and Adam Silver drops the hammer, well, then guess what? Those picks are going to be fantastic, or a much better odds than what they were previously. So I think there would be, like, Danny Ainge. You don't think Danny Ainge is like, all right, how do we get to the Lauri Markkanen number? Because those picks, 2030 and 2032 from this Kawhi Leonard, James Harden-led team, and there might be this punishment coming down. You don't think they would pick up the phone or listen to at least an offer? But
here's one other way, by the way, you could punish the Clippers, which I only just thought of right now. What if you say, in addition to picks, in addition to fines, in addition to suspensions, in addition to voiding the contract, in addition to moving the All-Star game, any of that stuff, you say you are now in the second apron for 5 years, but you can only spend to the first apron.
Well, this is what I was wondering. Is the Kawhi Leonard, if they void the contract, I think Hollinger wrote this too, is that necessarily a bad thing? Is that like if they void and take it off the books,
They put him below. Yeah. So this is the part where, unfortunately, the powers dictated in Article 13 do not seem to extend to how the salary cap can impact you. So I think the Clippers would absolutely appeal that and say, hold on, no, you can't put us in the second apron permanently or for an amount of time.
But do you get the cap relief with Kawhi Leonard's contract coming up?
I think they have to waive and stretch him.
Okay, so what about this? Let's say you say, okay, we believe he was paid an extra $10 million a year, let's say for the lifetime of the contract. What's that cost in luxury tax? What would that have cost?
Yep.
Yeah, but for that guy.
But you this has to be the moment where you say, nobody else better try this. Like the problem again is any owner that picks a better company, we never see it. There's just the Joe DiMaggio, by the way, in the Joe DiMaggio book by Richard Ben Kramer, whenever he would go to a mafia-controlled club, they would put money in a bank account. And by the end of his career, he had over $1 million. And there's that famous thing of Joe DiMaggio during the San Francisco earthquake walking out with a garbage bag. And people said, oh, Joe's cleaning up. Joe put cash in a garbage bag and was heading to a hotel. So this stuff has happened in other ways, right? When the Vancouver Grizzlies, this is my hometown, Vancouver, used to do appearances, whenever they would do like a public appearance, they had to get an envelope, right, before they would do anything. Someone would hand them an envelope. I don't know where the money came from. That's just how it worked. That's what everybody always says, right?
They're all compensated. That is in the collective bargaining agreement. You get compensated for even the community service appearances. Usually it doesn't come in an envelope. But sure.
It's so hard to police this as you get richer owners and as you get shadowy finance. Like, how would you ever stop this from happening? You cannot say we need access to the owner's finances. You cannot say we need access to the players' endorsements.
Right.
Like, this is all black box stuff.
Bruce, let me ask you this. How much of this is made harder? You mentioned Steve Ballmer being perhaps the best owner in the league. How much of this is made harder by Steve Ballmer being, for the most part, generally well-liked by not only the public, but also his peers, the other owners?
Well, that might be everything. It might. Because the two driving forces here are going to be what Adam thinks and what the other owners think. And those are interlinked, obviously. There's a flow there. Like, maybe this is the moment where Adam becomes David. And he says, you guys, I am going to make us all this money in Europe. I've made us all this money with a TV deal. I'm in charge and I have to do this. And they toe the line. But, I mean, I think the flip side of that is also, if you are the owner of 2/3 to 3/4 of the teams in this league, you look at Steve Ballmer and you go, okay, you got to get that guy for that. You got to punish him for that, because we can't compete with that. They already have difficulty competing with the money. So this is again, the fundamental. What has the NBA tried to do in terms of collective bargaining over the last 15 years or more? They have tried to make it so that everyone can compete. Flatten the league, right? They haven't even clawed back money from the players the way the NFL has. The NFL has, that's been their number one thing. We're taking money back and we're increasing revenue at the other end. The NBA's trying to make it even.
But it all comes down to that circumstantial evidence line that he already has said in a very David Stern way. Actually, a smoking gun is also circumstantial evidence because you didn't actually see it fire. You just see the smoke. To me, an executive for an NBA team reached out and made the metaphor of marginal contact with referees. Well, what's marginal contact? How is it different? How do you adjudicate what's marginal contact versus just regular contact? Well, it's just marginal contact. Well, that definition is really important because if you're going to rule that's a foul or that's a violation, well, what is the bar? Where is the bar when marginal contact turns into an actual foul? And that has always been a gray area in officiating. I don't know how they close that gap, but marginal contact seems to be a subjective element that they just can't get around. And so what Adam Silver is opening there is that latitude that, I mean, there's circumstantial evidence and I have to look at the facts. And I got to imagine anyone else like you in the audience, you would want to be innocent until proven guilty as well. And it seems like that latitude is expanding beyond what is in the CBA. And that's what, I mean, you keep bringing up the language. But there is some subjectivity in there in whether it meets the burden of proof or not. And that's what's fascinating to me. Is it's up to Adam Silver, really.
That's the key, right? Is Adam's deciding how the game will be played. That's what this is. And like the reason Tim Donaghy could get away with everything he got away with is you can affect a game and never make a wrong call, man. It's very easy to do, right? Because you have options. Adam has options here. But everything that we can see lines up with this, again, is exactly what it looks like. And there is almost no way to explain it any other way. And that's why, that press conference was so interesting, partly because the next day is the day Pablo drops the Dennis Wong piece. And he has since dropped more stuff. Yeah. So we don't have an updated picture on Adam. What we have is Adam after the first revelation. And that said, the first revelation alone, to me, based on what I knew at the time and based on what I wrote afterwards, he asked for this stuff from the Raptors. He seems to have gotten it well with the Clippers.
We did have one update from Adam. Apparently he had heard of aspiration.
That's true.
Like,
yeah.
It was, dare I say, Trumpian. The way he recanted. I never said that. I said, buddy, your exact words. I'd never even heard of aspiration.
Yeah. He said, I hadn't heard about them in this exact context. Is that how we put it?
Yeah.
That's how he fixed it.
In the first comment, he used the word frankly, as if to really enunciate the point. Frankly, I have never even heard of this company. And then says, I don't know if I said it. To the extent that I said it, what I meant was in the context of this case. And I was like, oh, man. Why was he so insistent on distancing himself from aspiration in the first time, and then the second time saying, well, I did know, but not about this.
So Adam had to deal with COVID, which was an incredible challenge for the league. And he was out ahead of that. He was talking to virologists before Rudy Gobert ever happened. Like he was very prescient on COVID. He's had to deal with Robert Sarver, right? He's had to deal with some crises in the league, right? Donald Sterling, but all that stuff compared to this is kind of easy. Because one is a logistics management situation and player safety management situation. One, Sarver was, nobody really wanted Robert Sarver around, and they got a richer guy into the chair. Nobody wanted Donald Sterling around. They got a richer guy into the chair and everyone made money. This is the one where this is the first time I would argue that he has faced a league defining crisis, Bruce, about how things work.
It's what Dan Le Batard always says, pay the whales and save the teachers, right? Oh, what a big man. It says, oh, the teachers, we need to pay them more. Oh, what a big man. It says the whales. That's not the hard stance to take. Oh, get the racist out of here. Yeah. The hard stance to take is, hey, one of your best owners, one of your most well-liked owners, seems to be caught with his hand down the cookie jar. What are you going to do about it?
This would be way easier if it was James Dolan, wouldn't it?
Oh,
that's
and I'm not, and I am just want to make clear, I am not saying right now that James Dolan has signed anyone to a contract that was below market value and is therefore something that people should be looking at. I wouldn't say that.
That's a great way to end this. So keep your third eye open, folks.
Bruce Arthur from the Toronto Star. You can follow him on Blue Sky Twitter. That was such a great interview, Bruce. Fantastic as always. We could talk another 2 hours on this one. So I appreciate you joining us for some time here. Apple time.
My pleasure, guys. Absolutely.